Hey everyone, it's John here from Hot Take Hockey, back with another video, and this video is going to be on the Boston Bruins. We're going to go over the lineup, what we expect for this year, and I have a guest. So I have Kaylee with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the Bruins have this year. So Kaylee, thank you so much for coming on. What are your initial thoughts on the Bruins after the offseason, after a crazy year, and just what do you think about this team going forward?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm itching to get the season going so bad. We're getting so close and I'm having withdrawals. So I appreciate you having me on to talk hockey. But I'm on the fence about it. I'm very stressed out because Krejci is no longer on the team.
Yeah.
I was actually very happy with the offseason moves that Sweeney was able to pull off, especially the Nick Foligno signing and the Linus Ullmark signing. I thought those were two big names that we could really use, especially with Tuukka being out until February or so with his surgery. So the goaltending was a big move. Also, the Foligno signing was a huge move. He's a veteran. Everyone knows the name, and he'll be a great third or fourth line guy, depending on where they decide to put him. But my biggest concern going into the season is who's going to replace David Krejci. You really can't fill those shoes. I don't expect anyone to beat another Krejci, but it really sucked finally signing Taylor Hall and getting a winger for him.
Yeah.
And you have that amazing secondary scoring line with Craig Smith, Taylor Hall, and Krejci. And I honestly think their only options are Jack Studnicka or Charlie Coyle. Studnicka is very young, doesn't have that much experience, and Coyle's been with the team for a while but doesn't produce enough. So I'm very nervous about that. But other than that, I think it's going to be a very interesting season, especially with the goaltending and the core getting down to their final years. So I'm nervous, but also hopeful.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the big thing looming right now. Like, while you got some younger guys like McAvoy's just getting into his prime, Passes in his prime right now. A lot of these guys that have been the face of the Bruins are towards the end of their career. So great point on the Krejci. I think a lot of Bruins fans obviously upset on that news. And it's kind of like, I don't know if ironic's the right word, but like you spend so many years looking for that winger for Krejci, as you said. And then the year you get him, it's like the year after he's gone. So that sucks. But good point on Studnicka, because we're going to go over the lineup. And I think that's kind of one of the big talking points is that fill in, that replacement. Obviously, no one's going to replace Krejci, but can Coyle bounce back? Obviously, he's one of the guys that we're talking about. Can he bounce back? But also a guy like, he's a winger, but Jake DeBrusk, like what's going to happen with him? And I kind of want to hear your thoughts too. Do you feel like DeBrusk still has another shot with his team, or is it kind of a scenario where he moves on soon?
No, because I feel like he's had enough chances and he has so much heart. He really does. Like, I like him a lot as a player and I feel like he has a lot of potential. I just feel like the Bruins maybe aren't a good fit for him. Maybe the chemistry isn't there. Maybe it's a locker room thing. Not that I think he doesn't want to be there, but I think it's something internally. Maybe he can't deal with the pressure. I mean, he was sat during the playoffs and that still didn't really kick him into gear. So, I mean, if you're sitting in the playoffs and you've already been on the team for a few years, that should make a really big statement. And if that doesn't change anything, I don't really know what will. They've moved him onto so many different lines and they've switched him back and forth and nothing ever really works. So I've kind of given up hope with that one, kind of was hoping for a trade, but maybe this will be his last chance and the last resort, and maybe he'll realize he really needs to get going. So I hope he does well. I would love to see him come alive and help the team, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, it's interesting because like right now and how it sits, like it's a guy that has potentially with a different team the skill set to be in the top six, but right now he doesn't fit in the top six with the Bruins. I mean, the four top wingers are Pasta, Marchand, Hull, and Smith, and I don't think that changes. So unless like an injury or unless something, but you don't want to think that way. So I'm going to give you my lineup, and then maybe you can give either yours or what you would do differently with mine. So obviously the top line of Marchand, Bergeron, Pasta, Hull. And then right now I have Coyle there, but as you kind of said, I could easily see Studnicka. I don't know if he'll start in the AHL or, I mean, I think they have enough guys like that are either on one-way deals or experience that should be locks, but I think Studnicka has that opportunity. And then on the right wing, Craig Smith, and then DeBrusk there, potentially in that third line with Haula and Foligno. And then the fourth line, some kind of combination of Nosek with Lazar and then like Wagner or Frederick. So in that forward group, is there anything you would change? Anything you would do differently? Is Studnicka there for you right at the start of the year? Or what do you think?
No, I actually thought that was pretty accurate and exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. I think they need to start off with Studnicka because you'd rather have that slip up in the beginning of the season rather than the end. Not
Yeah.
saying he's going to. I mean, you have to give him a chance at some point, but Coyle's already had plenty of chances, and he's another very flaky, kind of up and down kind of guy. Never really know what you're gonna get, streaky. So I feel like it would be smart to maybe start off with Studnicka, see what he has, give him some more time in the beginning of the season. If it doesn't work out, you could always switch it up. But I feel like it would be smart to do that, feel things out before you get too deep into playoff time and kind of, it's the
sense.
safe option. Yeah.
And then I guess in that scenario, it makes it even tougher. Maybe the Bruins make a trade, like you said, DeBrusk, because if DeBrusk starts the season, and I like the Studnicka opportunity on the second line, the only problem with that is like I look at DeBrusk, Coyle, Foligno, and Haula, and that means one of those four guys ends up on the fourth line. And I don't think either of those, like any of those guys, are fourth line players. So
I felt like they signed too many forwards. The big issue was defensive depth, but there were also no affordable defensemen on the market. So I think Sweeney played it very smart with what he had to work with. Because I was like, what are all these forwards? Like, we don't need the secondary scoring.
Hey, I mean, depth is never a bad problem. So
yeah. I mean, you need 4 rolling lines. That's what the Bruins had in 2011 when they won the cup. I mean, their fourth line, it was Thornton, Campbell, and Paille, and they were one of the best fourth lines you could have. Like, you wanted those guys out there. They were so gritty, but they'd also score goals. So yeah, I just the forward situation is a little confusing for me. It makes me a little bit nervous. But yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to see what happens because it's pretty nerve-wracking.
Well, I will say, if Haula ended up sliding down to the fourth line, Haula, no second, Lazar would instantly become, I think, the best fourth line in hockey. So that would be a really good fourth line.
Yeah, but that was like going to be Frederick's spot, like you said, and they just signed him to a deal. So it's like it's very interesting. They're gonna have to play some checkers and chess there.
Yeah, I like Frederick, man. Buddy's a shit disturber. So typical Bruins hockey.
Yeah, you need that mentality back because the Bruins have lost it in recent years. And I'm glad Marchand has matured and he's not licking people anymore and sort of slew footing anyone. Yeah. So I'm just glad that they have Frederick there who's willing to talk, but he's not going to like pull any Tom Wilsons on you or anything. So it's good to have that balance. And he's already a fan favorite. I mean, the whole like chirping PK Subban thing was like legendary. So
let's look at defense. So I think this one's up for debate. I mean, you give me your thoughts. I have kind of differing opinions. So obviously they brought in a guy like Derek Forbert, who's solid defenseman. You're not going to get too much offense from him, but I think the tough thing for me is like, I actually liked, maybe not so much like the playoffs, he struggled, Mike Riley, but I actually like the chemistry of Mike Riley and Carlo together. And then that makes me think like Grzelcyk potentially with McAvoy. But I think the way they paid Forbert, I think they gave him $3 million, I think, per season. It makes me think that he's more than just a bottom pairing guy potentially. So I wonder, the sixth defenseman is probably going to be a battle between Clifton and Zaboral. I guess, what's your mindset on defense? Do you have specific pairings you had in mind or what you wanted to see?
Yeah, I was going to say something like probably Grzelcyk and McAvoy, and then Riley, Carlo, and then Forbert and Clifton. But I definitely was thinking Forbert on the bottom pairing, possibly with Clifton, or like you said, slot in Zaboral too.
It's a matter of like a balancing act and like what you want. Like if you put Forbert with Carlo, and we see it throughout the league, like those two guys would be a good shutdown pair. Like you could put Forbert and Carlo against the best competition. Like Carlo is probably like your least worry for making a mistake at the defensive end, right? So I think that's where you could go in that direction. But then at the same time, you don't want your bottom pair. Like I specifically saw it against like the Islanders in the Isle series, like Clifton and Riley were struggling when they were together sometimes. So it's like, what are you going to take? You're going to take the strong defensive pair, or do you want to balance it out? So I guess that's the big question.
Yeah, balance is key, and the Carlo injury hurt a lot. So that's the defense again, between the Krejci loss and the defense, it is I'm a little bit nervous, but again, there are no affordable D-men out there. We weren't about to make a Seth Jones type deal. So
No.
no cap space or no need for that as of right now, especially with the amount of young defensemen the Bruins have. So it's going to be very interesting, especially without Tuukka in net. So it's like the defense needs to step up even more. So it's a very interesting like puzzle with all the pieces they have going on this year, because there's a lot of changes. So
yeah, and new faces, and as you said, I mean, Krejci, while everyone can talk big, I mean, it sucked losing Char as well, but the faces of the Bruins for a while were Bergeron, Char, Marchand, and while I think outside, like I think in the Bruins fan base, a lot of people appreciated Krejci, but I think outside, like no one really talked about Krejci when it came to like the bigger players for the Bruins, and I think people need to realize, so underrated. I think people need to realize how much of an impact this guy had on the team. And yeah, it goes back to like the whole thing of like, this guy was by himself basically on the second line with the stacked top line for so long. And
he still produced. So.
He still produced, yeah. So yeah, let's finish off with, I mean, another guy that's been a face for a while, Tuukka Rask. So yeah, as you said, no Rask until at least the new year, potentially February, March. We'll see if he signs. But right now you have Linus Ullmark and you have Jeremy Swayman. You traded Vladar. Are you confident with the pairing right now going into the new year of Ullmark and Swayman? And do you think Ullmark can take the reins? Like he showed well, like his stats show well, especially on a Sabres, like a bad Sabres team. So are you confident in Ullmark? Do you think Swayman will get his fair share of games? Like what is your mindset with those guys?
Yeah, I'm actually very confident. And I always say that the Bruins have been very spoiled when it comes to goaltending for the last decade, even more than a decade, honestly. I mean, look at Tim Thomas. Like that was a performance we'll never see again in the cup final in the playoffs. But no, Tuukka is actually my favorite player. I have his little like sign back there. I'm like diehard Tuukka apologist, so I'm gonna miss him. But Swayman, that kid never looks nervous. I don't know like what he eats or drinks. I don't know what he does, but he is like a freak of nature. I have never felt nervous seeing him in net. And this is his first actual season playing in the NHL. And they already said he's going to be the guy. Like when Tuukka is gone, he is the guy. So why not give him as much time as possible? I would be fine seeing them split the playing time evenly between Ullmark and Swayman. Like you said, if you can put up good numbers behind that Sabres team, then I'm so confident in you, especially with the less than stellar defense we have going in. So I'm actually not nervous about goaltending at all. I feel like they have it locked up, and Swayman has a really bright future. So I'm actually very excited about seeing what they do with them, because I feel like those are two pieces that can actually feel confident in.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think that's the big thing. Obviously you took a bet on signing Ullmark to that contract, and $5 million is it's no pennies. You paid for your starting goaltender, at least the guy after Rask. But yeah, you're right. I think even if like at the start, the Ullmark experiment doesn't work out right away, or like he doesn't explode or show really well. Like Swayman showed really well last year. I think a lot of Bruins fans, from what I see on Twitter, from who I talk to, I think people are confident in Swayman going forward. So it's like you have two guys that you can put in the net and be confident in on a night. So I think, I'm kind of with you. I think there's question marks, maybe a couple question marks on defense, but outside of that, you have so many forward options, and goaltending should be a confidence level. Like I think the one question mark, or the two question marks probably for the Bruins up front, would be the Coyle and DeBrusk situation. Are they going to bounce back? Could you move DeBrusk? But outside of that, I mean, personally, I think this team's going to do well. So I guess for you, what are your overall expectations for this team? What would be a disappointing level for this team? Or like from your sense of being on Twitter with a lot of fans, like what is your sense from the Bruins fans for the expectation?
I think what's most nerve-wracking is the division that the Bruins are in right now. The Florida Panthers are hot. Like they're one that, is making me nervous, and I was rooting for them last year so hard, but it didn't work out. But I definitely don't see them taking away the division at this point. I can see definitely a playoff team. Definitely that would be a huge disappointment, but I could see maybe another second round exit depending on who they play, depending on Tuukka's health, depending on how the trade deadline goes in the future. So yeah, I could probably see another second round exit. I hate to say it, but that's been the pattern recently. And I just don't, I don't think it's a Stanley Cup team still, and that makes me very sad because the core is on its way out. Bergeron actually just said that he's going to play out this last year of his contract, and then he's going to like see what the future holds. So I don't like the sound of that. I mean, retiring is fine, but he's not allowed to go anywhere else.
He's got to retire Bruin. Yeah,
I
for
forbid
sure.
it. Yes, exactly. We're not going to have another Chara situation because that broke my heart as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see them winning the division, but I do see them being at least top 5 in the standings throughout. So hopefully not second round exit, but that is what I can see with the pieces they have to work with.
Yeah, obviously it's hard to predict. It depends on who you play in the playoffs and how things line up.
Yeah.
On that point of what you said, like the retiring and finishing off of the Bruins, do you see a scenario like, say, best case scenario, Bruins are like first or second in the Atlantic, Allmark and Swayman are like the best duo in the league? Do you see a scenario where they don't go back to Rask, or do you think for sure that at some point Rask will come back, whether it's towards the end of the year or next?
No, I do think he's going to come back. He did mention that he does want to stay in Boston. I know everyone says that, and Chara said it too. Don Sweeney had also mentioned that, you know, we want Rask here. We will do anything for him to be here. There's no plans on parting ways. And Tuukka was like, yeah, I would play here for $250K in a case of Bud Light. Like he actually said that verbatim. So I think both sides are wanting to keep him. And from the way he was talking, it sounds like he almost has 2 more years in him. I guess it depends on his injury and his health and how he's feeling. But I know the feeling is mutual that he wants to stay and the organization wants him to stay. So that makes me really happy because I still think he's playing some of his best hockey. I mean, it's pretty impressive to see the numbers he puts up even at his age and towards the end of his career, even though people slander him for no reason whatsoever. But we're very lucky to have him.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been a thing over the last, few years, that Rask has gotten this kind of slander of maybe not. Well, there's been certain game 7s where I cannot believe people even like question his like kind of clutch factor, because then there'll be like the one game 7 or the one game where he obviously doesn't play to the level, and it's like Rask is not clutch, Rask can't perform in big games. But I've seen so many games where Rask puts up 40 saves in like a crucial game. So I think it just goes with any goalie, but obviously I think if you look at the last decade, like Rask is up there, like top 10, like he's recognized as one of the better goalies in the last decade. So
thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee, so much for coming on. Plug all your stuff. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so my Twitter account is actually, it's Tuukka Rask. It's the number 2 KARASK. And then I do write about the Bruins for Fansided. I write for the Bruins portion of Fansided. So it's actually causewaycrowd.com. So you can find any of my articles there and take a look at those, because I'll have a lot more coming during the season.
And I guess people can find you for a lot of, will you be talking some shit throughout the season, or can people rely on you for that?
Yes, absolutely. I am not afraid to start anything. So if you want to, hop in my mentions with a debate, I will debate you. So go for it.
All right. Sounds good. Well, hey, I really do appreciate you coming on, taking the time, talk some Bruins hockey. So I hope I'll look out for what you got coming, but thank you so much for coming on the channel, Kaylee.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Kaylee's an absolute beauty. Thank you so much to her for coming on, and thank you so much for being at this part of the video. You watched till the end, so definitely let me know in the comments that you watched till the end and your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and we'll see you all soon. All right, guys, this was John from Hockey. Have a good one. Peace out.